Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. Of course, historic might be overused to describe the year that we've just experienced. When it comes to the stock market, though, it was indeed historic when you think about how quickly we saw a 30% decline earlier on the year, followed by the shortest-lived bear market in history. For more on all those moves, no shortage of things to point out here. I want to get to Yahoo Finance's chart master, Jared Blikre. And Jared, I mean, you got kind of a gluttony to pick from here in terms of the crazy moves to discuss in 2020.
You got it, but let's just go with the kahuna, S&P 500 to begin with. And you mentioned that 30% drop. Well, let's take a look at the Wi-Fi Interactive here. That was indeed nasty. And the biggest thing about this year is no one really believed the rally until it was way off of those lows. And in fact, anytime we had any kind of downdraft, we had a couple of 10% moves. They were so quick and furious, it seemed like the market would perhaps descend into another bear market. And at this stage, we see the market very overstretched. I mean, you take a look at some technicals here with regard to its 200-day moving average, et cetera, very overstretched. So a lot of times this time of year, you can actually pinpoint what might happen in the next year. And in fact, some research by Ryan Dietrich at LPL Financial illustrates this. And this is the post that he has today. Basically, not only does the Santa Claus rally, and we're in day 5 of it, predict what's going to happen in the new year a lot of the time, but also when we have 20% move in, greater than 10% move in the final 2 months of the year. And this is what he's writing about here. A big end of year rally could have bull smile in 2021. And we can put this back up on the Wi-Fi Interactive. Turns out a 10% or more gain the final 2 months of the year has equaled a higher S&P 500 the following year every single time since World War II. And in fact, we're putting in the best 2-month performance that we've had since World War II. So here's what happens normally in a year. Stocks go up, maybe high single-digit returns. And then we also have this right here. Now, this is what happens in one of these years where we have these gains like this. Guys?
Jared, of course, so much of the discussion throughout the year has been kind of these two sides here, the stay-at-home trades, as we've described it, that have seen a huge boost as a result of the pandemic, and then some of the reopening trades that have kind of teetered back and forth, depending on the headlines around the vaccine as well as the economy. Where do things stand right now on that front going into 2021?
Well, it's really been a fascinating year in that regard because the lockdown trade kind of emerged in March and April. And let's see if we can get the Wi-Fi Interactive up now. I had a little technical problem before. Here's the NASDAQ, and this really tells a story here. If we look at year to date, you see the big caps, the mega caps. Those were in part some of the biggest gainers because we had low interest rates. I mean, interest rates sunk very quickly along with stocks back in March, and then kind of recovered a little bit, but really not nearly as much as stock. We still have the 10-year hovering below 1%. And so we saw this flight into a lot of the big caps and also some of the names like Tesla, not really a lockdown trade or a reopening trade, but that's kind of an idiosyncratic story. But you take a look at number 2 here, Moderna, that's up 440% year to date, although over the last month, it's sunk a little bit. So a lot of these leaders have given back gains, and this happened in the fourth quarter. If we take a look at the sector action for the year, you can see tech, XLK, still up more than 40%, followed by discretionary and communication services, each up more than 25%. Those are the FANG stocks. But you take a look at what's happened in this quarter, energy is a standout, and then you have financials and industrials. So as we got this great vaccine news, as we got some resolution on the November presidential election, then we saw this reorientation of the markets into some of these other sectors. We talk a lot about the value and the cyclical play. So, heading into 2021, it's going to be an event-filled week next week because we do have that Georgia runoff, and there's still volatility in the markets surrounding that. So we'll have to see what comes of that. But if nothing changes, if the Republicans keep control of the Senate, probably still sees some more of that rotation into the value and cyclicals in January.
Yeah, I mean, we'll figure out pretty quickly what kind of year we're in for after we got that news. But Jared Blikre, appreciate that look back on 2020.